Springdale Park of Holyoke, Massachusetts. We're at the Springdale pumping station from the year 1943. And that decade, they built a lot of things to prevent floods from destroying the neighborhood. The reason why in 1936 and 1938 there was horrific floods in Holyoke and other communities around this area. And so what they wanted to do was take a levee out and build a dike instead. And the dike itself is about a third higher than the levee ever was, and is stronger inside of there. There's stronger material. Plus, to be a dike, you need to have a pump station, and this is a pump station. Now, if you scan a little bit to the left, you can see a pump apparatus. If you scan a little bit to the right, you can see electrical grid inside it to power the pumps. So they have their own capacity to generate electricity. They need to, because if there's a flood, they might knock electricity out of Holyoke, but the station will be able to pump water. That's an incredible system. They have not had to use this from 1940 when they made the system. So that's 83 years of not use, but they always come here and maintain it. This is one of 5 pump stations in Holyoke along the dike system of Holyoke. And it's made completely to prevent horrible floods. The biggest pump station by far is the 3rd one along. This is the last to the south of the 5th one, and thus this one protects Springdale Park. There's another one only about 3/4 mile upwards that protects some of the mills. It's right next to the Willamette Bridge. There's a 3rd one, is the largest one. That was built by Holyoke much later after this system was built in 1940, and that's an enormous building. And it's about 2 miles north of where we are, and it's also built by Holyoke, and it's a very strong pump, so it can keep water out of the flat section of Holyoke. There's another pump station as you go along underneath, or very close to the Vietnam Veterans Bridge, and then lastly, the first one of all, the one highest to the north, is right at the north edge of Pulaski Park. All right, so we're going to now look at the whole levee or dike. And so now we're looking at the dike wall itself. It has a big berm on both sides of it, so it's very, very strong, and it's very long. And if you actually follow it more towards the north, it goes for about 1/4 mile, and if you follow it towards the south, we'll go towards the south a little bit, and you can see it keeps going, and it's about 250 yards that direction. So it's an enormous dike. This is the only place in Holyoke where a bermed dike is. The other places, they have concrete walls, and that's especially true around where the canal system is, because they don't want the water going in. Now, if you look at the top of this grass berm, at the very top you see another pump. So this is the location where the pump is, inside this building and up on top of there, where you can start to pump water out of there. That's incredible. Now, the Connecticut River is just on the other side of this. This used to be, from about the year 1790 to about the year 1840 maybe, it used to be a ferry at this point. It was called the Day Ferry. It was one of 5 ferries that Holyoke had, and it was the southernmost of all 5 of those ferries. It was the southernmost, and it was named after the person that took care of it. There also used to be a brook here. The Day Brook finally ended here, and it actually is on the other side of this, where you have some of the drainage. And that Day Brook starts at the top of Crafts Hill, basically where Anniversary Field and Community Field are. So it was along about 2.3 mile long brook heading here. All right, now, the last thing just to point out for you, this whole neighborhood in 1936 was devastated by a flood that reached all the way up to the apartment complex, and the water stayed here for over a week. They couldn't get it out. So a levee is not good. It doesn't have a pump associated with it, and so there was big problems in this area. So we're going to have other stops, and I might mention that flood, and keep that in mind. You had such a beautiful park, and they had to rehab it because of that horrible flood. So thank you for coming on the stop.